My original plan was to talk about Tathagata monks today, because people will be meeting monks in the future, and so they need to know more about Tathagata monks. But this morning at the interviews, Julie asked me about Anatta doctrine, no soul teachings of the Buddha, and she said she was interested in this doctrine. And so I think it is appropriate to talk about Anatta. This Anatta doctrine is one of the most important doctrines in Buddhism. It makes Buddhism different from all other religions, because other religions accept the soul or self or personality in some form or other. But Buddhism denies it. And the acceptance or non-acceptance of this Anatta doctrine decides whether one is a Buddhist or not. And this doctrine is lately much misinterpreted by some modern authors. People are attached to their lives or to their bodies. And so people think that there is something lasting, something permanent in their bodies. And when someone comes and says, there is nothing permanent in your body, or there is no soul or self, people get frightened. Even the Buddha, when directly asked whether there is an atta or not, did not give an answer. He just kept silent, or he just said no, did not give any answer to the question. There was an ascetic called Tathagata. He once went to the Buddha and asked whether there is atta or not. And Buddha said, I will not answer. So when that ascetic went away, his personal attendant, Anatta, asked the Buddha why he did not give the answer. And Buddha said, this ascetic was very much confused in his thinking about this soul or self. And if the Buddha were to say there is self or atta, then it would go against his own teaching. And if he says there is no atta, Tathagata, who was already confused, will get more confused. And so he did not want to make him more confused. So Buddha waited for the time when Tathagata's wisdom will mature and be able to accept and understand the doctrine. I think the same thing will happen to some in these days. Many people thought that they have a self or a soul. And if somebody says there is no self or soul, even what I think as being myself or soul is non-existent now, he says. So what is to come of me, and so on. And before the Buddha appeared in India, the Brahmanism, or what is later called Hinduism, prevailed. And Hinduism teaches soul or self. You can find mention of Atman. Atman is a Sanskrit word, which in Pali is called atta. So you can find Atman on almost every page in Hindu scriptures. When the Buddha came, Buddha appeared in the world. He said, no Atman, there is no Atman, or nothing is Atman. And this doctrine of Anatta, or Anatman, is so important that Buddha gave this doctrine 5 days after his first sermon, the sermon on the Four Noble Truths. His five disciples became stream winners, or attained the first stage of sainthood after they heard the first sermon. So on the 5th day, he assembled all his 5 disciples and taught them this doctrine of Anatta. And at the end of the sutta, all the 5 disciples became arahants. In order to understand the doctrine of Anatta, first we must understand what Anatta doctrine negates. Anatta is a word, a combination of two words, na and atta. So na means not and atta means, let us say atta, call what you may, soul or self or personality. So not atta or no atta. And in this case, the word atta is taken to mean three things. First, atta means inner core of anything. The inner core of the trees is the hardest. And so it implies permanency or lastingness. So atta means the inner core of anything that lasts, that is better than any other part of the thing. And here it can mean, the inner core can mean what is permanent, what is real happiness, what is really beautiful. And Buddha negates it. So there is no such thing as the inner core that lasts forever, and that can be said to be really beautiful, that can be said to be real happiness, and so on. The second meaning is authority. Authority means the ability to make others follow its wishes. It can exercise authority over others. So if anything is to be an atta, it must be able to make others follow its wishes. It is one meaning of the word atta. It must be able to exercise authority over others. And Buddha says there is no such thing as one which can exercise authority over others. Beings are impermanent, and everything is impermanent. And we cannot make these things permanent. We cannot order them to be permanent. We cannot exercise authority over them. And the third meaning is just atta, or soul, or self. In Brahmanism, according to Brahmanism, there is atta, or Atman, or soul. And this Atman, or soul, is of two kinds. The universal Atman and the individual Atman. Universal Atman may be a big Atman, and the individual Atman is the part of that big universal Atman. And this individual Atman resides in everybody, according to them. So Atman is in you, Atman is in me, Atman is in every living being. And this Atman is permanent. It never dies. It never gets hurt. When the body dies, it moves to another body. It takes another body as home. So in this way, it goes from one body to another, discarding the one-out body and taking the new body. And it goes along this way, purifying itself from life to life, until it becomes so purified that it reunites with the universal Atma. And that is the liberation, according to the Brahmanical teachings. So Atman never dies. You cannot kill the Atman. You cannot wound the Atman. And it is with this meaning that Krishna exhorts a person called Dhritarashtra to go to the battle, the big battle, the Mahabharata battle. I think you have heard of it. According to Indian mythology, there was a great battle in the olden days, and their brothers fought against brothers. So Dhritarashtra was reluctant to go to the battle to fight with his own brothers. And the Krishna, as a charioteer, Krishna is a Hindu god, as a charioteer, told him that no weapon can cut the Atman. No fire can burn the Atman. So even you kill someone, you kill only the body, not the Atman. So it is not wrong to kill even one's own kinsman and so on. So in this way he incites Dhritarashtra to go to the battle, and he went to the battle. So according to them, Atma never dies. and it changes the body every now and then. But the Buddha denies all these. According to Buddha, there is nothing which we can call an inner core, which is permanent, which is pure happiness, and which is really beautiful and desirable. And there is nothing we can make follow our wishes. With this meaning, Buddha once defeated a very famous ascetic called Saccaka. He was very famous ascetic, and he knew many kinds of religious teachings, and he was a very shrewd, very shrewd in debater. So one day he heard that Buddha taught Anatta doctrine. So he said it was very wrong. I will go to the Buddha and convince him of his wrong teaching. Just as a drunkard takes hold of a goat and swing it around, I will take hold of Gautama and swing him around in the bay. And so he went there with other princes, with the princes who are his followers. So when he reached the Buddha, he exchanged greetings, and then he asked what the Buddha taught, and Buddha said, I taught Anatta. And he said, no, it is atta. The five, I think in those times, the five aggregates are known by everybody. So he said, five aggregates are atta. Buddha said, no. Then Buddha asked him, do you really think the five aggregates are atta? He said, not only me. Those who came with me, these princes also have the same opinion. And Buddha said, leave them alone. Now, you and I are talking. So do you really think, or do you really take the corporeality or the body to be atta? So when he was asked, he dare not give an answer because he was an ugly man. So if he said the corporeality or matter is atta, that might mean it can follow his wishes. And then Buddha will say, if it is atta, if your body is atta, why not make it more beautiful? So he did not answer, he did not give any answer. But in the end he was forced to answer that the corporeality was not atta and so on. So in our records he was defeated. So Buddha said nothing can be bring to our wishes, nothing can be according to our wishes. So this is one meaning of anatta. And the other meaning is just no soul, no self. There is nothing permanent in apart from our mind and body. Buddha said there is only the five aggregates, or just nama and rupa, just mind and body. Apart from these five aggregates, apart from this mind and body, there is nothing whatsoever that we could call an atta. So there is nothing outside the five aggregates or outside mind and body which can be called an atta. And some people think that the mind is atta, or some people think that body is atta. And Buddha said, no, mind is always changing. It cannot be atta. And body is also changing. It's subject to change, decay and death. And so it is not atta either. So when we say something is anatta, we mean all these three meanings. It has no inner core, it does not follow the wishes of ourselves, and it is no self, or it has no self. In order to understand this doctrine, you can speculate, you can ponder upon it. I told you three kinds of knowledge yesterday. So by the first knowledge, that means by listening to someone and by reading books, you can understand the doctrine of anatta. And by thinking over it, by speculating over it, by contemplating on it, you can gain more understanding of the doctrine of anatta. Buddha said there are only five aggregates. We are composed of five aggregates. And if we take these five aggregates one by one, there remains nothing. So there is no atta, or no soul, or no self apart from these five aggregates. The combination of these five aggregates we call person, or we call a being, a man or a woman. So apart from the component parts, there can be nothing which lasts forever, or which makes us do this, that thing, or which makes us experience or enjoy or suffer happiness or pain. In Hinduism, it is said that it was the atta that makes us do something, that makes us do things, and that makes us enjoy or suffer. When we enjoy something, it is at the command of that atta that we enjoy. And when we suffer something, the same thing. So atta is the one who directs us to enjoy or to suffer, and also to do things. Whatever we do because we are directed by the atta. This is what the Hindus believe. But according to Buddha, there is no such thing as an atta. Just the five aggregates, just nama and rupa, depending upon each other and interacting to each other. So, apart from these five aggregates, or nama and rupa, we cannot find anything. And this, you will see more clearly when you practice meditation. You keep yourself aware of everything. So when you see something, you are aware of that seeing, or you make a mental note seeing. At the moment of seeing, there are two things: the mind that sees and the object that is seen. So there are only mind and the object. Apart from these two things, there is nothing. Only the mind that sees and the object that is seen. When there are these two things, that is what we call seeing. Actually, seeing can occur depending on four conditions. There must be the eye, there must be the visible object, and there must be attention, and there must be light. So when there are these four conditions, there is seeing. When one of these conditions is lacking, there can be no seeing. So seeing is conditioned by or caused by just these four things. If we don't have eyes, we cannot see. So if we don't have eyes, no other can make us see. Or if there is no light, we cannot see. If there is no object to be seen, there can be no seeing. And if we have no attention, we do not see. Sometimes something past us, but we do not see because we have no attention. So these four conditions are needed in order for the seeing consciousness to arise. So if one of these conditions are missing, we cannot see. And this seeing is not made by any agent or anyone. Just when these four conditions are met, seeing consciousness arises. Just as when there is a magnifying glass and there is sun and there is something to burn, then there is fire. So when you practice, you note seeing, and there is only the object that is seen and the mind that sees, or the mind that makes note of it. Only these two things you see. You do not see any other thing, any other authority or any other person that directs the seeing. So in the same way, when you make note of your thoughts, there is a thought that is noted, that is the object, and the other thought that makes note of the thought. So only these two things are there at that moment. More than these two things, there is nothing at that moment of awareness, or moment of mindfulness. And when you practice, you see the impermanence of mind, of thoughts. See, one thought comes and then goes away, another thought comes. So there is a new thought at every moment taking place and then disappearing. So you see through direct knowledge the impermanence of thoughts and also the impermanence of material things you see. And the desire of the beings is to be permanent. We want to be permanent, We want things to be permanent. And when we cannot make them permanent, and we cannot make them, we have no authority over it. We cannot order them to be permanent. We cannot make them to be permanent. So, no exercise of authority over things is also apparent, also evident, when we see only these two things at the moment. Only there is the mind that sees or that make note, that is aware, and the thing or the other mind or thought which is noted, which is the object. So when we see these two things as impermanent, disappearing every moment, when we cannot make them permanent, we see the nature of no-soul doctrine very clearly.
When you experience pain, there's something it's not permanent, but it's more permanent than thought. Because it seems more permanent. The same pain comes up over and over.
Yes, it seems to last longer than thought. It does last longer than thought. But it does not last forever. And actually, the pain arises at every moment. It is because we cannot see the arising of pain at every moment that we think pain is one continuous solid thing. But when you practice meditation and you keep on noting pain, and you get concentration on that, you will come to see that there are gaps in this pain. Before you thought this pain is just one continuous thing, but you see gaps in this. The same with when some say there is some noise continuously coming to you, and you make note of the noise, the hearing. And when you get concentration, just noting that continuous noise, you come to see or you come to experience the gaps in the noise or in the sound. They don't come as one continuous noise or sound. There are gaps. A friend of mine was meditating, and there was a loudspeaker playing the song, and it went on for the whole night. So he had nothing to do but to concentrate on that sound, that noise. And first he was angry with that, and then since he could not do any other thing, he just noted that sound, hearing. And he told me that after some time that he got into this sound, or he got concentration, and that sound comes to him as bits, not as one continuous song, just bit by bit. So although we think that pain is continuous, actually it is not. So it arises and disappears at every moment.
It also appears like it's a part of a sort of semi-permanent self, where thoughts don't. But because of so many other schools, it's like I have a mental set that tells me that certain personality character blocks in my whole pattern that's me.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, it feels from what we've been talking about that that's an obstacle. I have an idea about...
To penetrate the nature of pain, you just have to dwell on pain. You just have to make notes of pain. And so, when you get enough concentration, you will go deep into pain. And then you see this pain is also impermanent and just it comes and goes. So, this is the doctrine of Anatta. And this Anatta can be seen by breaking ourselves down into different elements. Yesterday I told you the impermanence is hidden by the illusion of continuity. Now, this illusion of self or atta is hidden by impactness. That means we take this to be one thing. We take ourselves to be one body or one thing. So if we can break ourselves down in different parts we are composed of, we can lose this illusion of self. That is why Buddha prescribed the contemplation on the elements. We have 4 great elements, and the other material qualities depending on these 4 elements. So when you can dissect yourself mentally into these four component parts, different parts, you lose the compactness. And when the compactness is lost, the idea of soul or person or whatever disappears. So when a person kills a cow, first he ties the cow to the post. And if someone asks him what he is doing, he said, I'm tying the cow to the post. And when he is killing also, he will answer, I am killing the cow. But when he has cut the cow into pieces and is put on sale, and if someone asks him what he is selling, he will not say, I am selling the cow. At that time, he say, I am selling meat. So the notion of cow has disappeared from him when he cut the cow in different pieces. So in the same way, we have notion of ourselves, our body. But if we can, with our mind, divide or cut ourselves into these different parts, different elements, then the notion of self or person or personality just disappears.
Even though a person may not be permanent, you can change so many things and you still are recognized. I'm not going to gain weight, cut my hair, have totally different interests, be doing totally different things, and somehow 20 years from now, someone could still. What is that? If there is no continuity, what is that you can recognize?
That is continuity. But this continuity is created only in our mind. Actually, there is no continuity. But we have the relationship as cause and effect. So many people ask, if there is no Atma to go to another world, then how do we say that we have different lives? If we have past lives, and then we will have future lives, and who goes to the next life? Now, this mental and physical phenomena arises and disappears at every moment. At one moment it arises, and then it disappears, and in its place another new phenomena come into being. So at every moment, these phenomena renew themselves. But the new phenomena that arise is not totally different, not totally new, because they arise because of some cause in the past. So let us say karma. The karma causes the effect, which is next life. Now this karma causes the next life, and that next life is not totally new, and neither is identical. So this cause causes the effect to arise, and that effect is not the effect of any cause, but that specific cause. So they have the relationship as cause and effect, and it can impart some of its qualities. Impart means cause to arise, some of its qualities, similar qualities, in the effect. So according to this teaching, nothing goes from one place to another. But the one here causes the other one there to arise. And when it causes some of its qualities there to arise. So in this way, we have the notion of continuity. But actually, everything is new at every moment. We have the formula, neither that person nor the other person, neither the one nor the other. That means a person who is reborn in a future life is not the identical person, not the same person as the person who dies here. And he is not a totally new person. So neither the one nor the other. And we have some similes. The first simile given is the echo. So you shout into a cave, and the sound comes back to you. And that sound is not your sound, not your original sound. But without your original sound, there can be no echo. So echo cannot be said that it is your sound. And it cannot be said that without the help of your sound, it comes back to you. And say you have a candle, lighted candle. The other person comes and lights his candle from your candle. And the other candle has a fire. The light in the original candle does not transfer itself to another candle. So the light in the second candle is not the same identical light in the first candle. But the light comes into being not without the help of the first candle. So in the same way, it is neither one nor the other. And also the seal. So when you stand still, the impression that is on the paper is not the same as not the identical seal in your hand. But that impression of the seal appears on the paper because you impress it on the paper. So the seal or the impression of the seal on the paper is not disconnected with the seal in your hand, but it is not the identical seal in your hand. It is just the impression. And the last simile is when you look at in the mirror, you see yourself, but it is not you, because you are here, not in the mirror, but there is a shade or shadow in the mirror. And so the shadow in the mirror will not be there if you are not here. It depends on you to be there, but it is not you. So it is explained in this way, that although we do not accept accept permanence, we accept this connection as cause and effect. So this cause and effect goes on and on and on, even in this life, from this moment to next moment and the next moment. It goes on and on in this way. And that is why there can be old age. This cause produces some effect. And that again produces another effect and so on. And so it goes on and on and on. So there can be old age. And when there can be old age, there can be death too. And death is just a conventional term for the disappearance of something. Actually, we are dying every moment and being reborn every moment. The thoughts die, come into being and then die. And also the physical properties come into being and then disappear. So even in this life, we are dying. But we do not call this dying. We call dying only when we come to an end of one life. And immediately after the end of this life, there is next life. Immediately after that, there is rebirth. There is no interim period between death and rebirth. If we consider about, say, time or day, it becomes more understandable. Say, the previous day, the 12th midnight of previous day, we call that the previous day. But only 1 second after that, we call it the next day or new day. It's just our convention for the convenience of usage, that we call this one day and that another day. But actually this time is just going on and on and on. So one moment is called, say, Sunday, and the next moment we call it Monday. But actually it is just the time going on. So in the same way, the life and death go on forever. But only we call the end of this what we call this life as real death, and then taking birth in another existence as rebirth. But as a matter of fact, we are dying and being reborn at every moment. It ceases only when you cut off the roots of this process. That means the roots of lobha, attachment, and the root of ill will or hatred or dosa, anger, and the root of moha, ignorance. The arhat have cut off these roots altogether. So for them, this process ceases after death. There is no more rebirth for them, because they have no desire or no attachment to this life and death process.
But if that process of rebirth is moment to moment, then what happens to that ceases? It's hard for me to... If someone's sitting there and suddenly that process ceases, they cease to be reborn in another life, but from the moment to moment thing.
It is like a lamp. When the oil is used up, it just disappears. So the desire or attachment is like oil. So when this desire is cut off, there is no more new becoming. It is like when I have desire to go to San Francisco, I will be there because I have desire to go there, and I will go there. If I have no desire to be there, I will not go there and I will not be there. So desire is what makes us being reborn again and again.
So,
yeah.
His question though is why an arhat doesn't disappear the minute he has a magatita.
Oh.
But
because the present life or present body and mind is the effect of the past karma. So the past karma gives rise to this present life, and so it must run its course. But since the arhat does not acquire fresh karma, there can be no new birth for him, because he has cut off all these roots of evil or roots of existence, we can call them. So since he has no desire to be reborn, he has cut off all these roots. He is not reborn after death. But this life, he has to go until the end of this, because it is the result of the past karma he did in the past.
Yesterday you talked about latent anger, another kind, and then the kind that's acted on. What was the second?
Coming up stage.
Coming up. And you said that when one becomes an arahat, he's lost the latent anger.
Latent, right.
And when the Buddha talked to the first disciples 5 days after about anatta, and during that sermon they became arahats. What happened to the latent, whatever, I guess it would be the latent attachment, aversion, and ignorance?
I talked about this in one of my lectures back in Berkeley. We say that the path consciousness, or the realization of truth, eradicates mental defilement. Actually, it does not eradicate the present one, or the past one, or the future one. The path does not eradicate the present defilement, because they are already present. And they do not eradicate the past, because they are already past and not here now. And the future ones are not yet come, and so you cannot eradicate. Then what does the path consciousness eradicate? This latent tendency, liability to become angry, to become attached to something, to become ignorant. And that liability, the path consciousness destroys. So when that liability is destroyed, there can be no arising of these defilements, although there are causes. Although there is provocation, an arhat never gets angry. Although there is a very desirable object, an arhat doesn't feel attachment to that object, because he has cut off this liability to get attached or to get angry or to be ignorant and so on. So this latent tendency or liability is what the path consciousness destroys, and not the past or present or future one. And that is not give chance to them to arise. So their chance is destroyed. In Pali we call anupada nirodha. That means they are abandoned not by destroying the what is existing, but destroying their chance to arise. That is what we call latent tendency. So the path consciousness destroys the latent tendency of this mental defilement. So when this tendency is destroyed or eradicated, the defilements themselves are said to be eradicated. Actually, no defilement is eradicated, just the latent tendency of them.
So the latent tendency is like oil in the lamp. When fire is brought to it, it ignites. When the oil is all gone, the fire is brought to it, it doesn't ignite.
That's right.
And what happened during that sermon with those 5 disciples.
I think only the Buddha knew what happened. Now, these 5 disciples had the necessary perfection. That means they were ready to become enlightened. And so when they heard the sermon, they thoroughly understood the sermon. And when you understand something, you get something like joy in you, piti. And that piti is turned into an object of vipassana meditation. It is how these people who got instant enlightenment did. So that piti or joy is looked upon as impermanent. It is impermanent, and it is looked upon as impermanent. And from that, they develop the different stages of vipassana in very rapid succession, in a sitting, and reach the 4 or the remaining 3 stages of sainthood, one by one.
Then is it like someone who might spend a long time studying some very difficult ideas in advanced physics, and then one day a teacher says something to him, and everything just falls into place. And he was struggling with some very difficult ideas, and then just within a very short time he starts understanding a whole series of these ideas, and the whole picture comes together. But for a long time, he was preparing himself for that moment.
So these disciples are also preparing for this for a long time. Not even one life, for thousands of lives. And mind is very fast. And so mind can understand many things in a very short time. When you are meditating, you are distracted just for a few seconds. But within these few seconds, you think of many things. You can think of many things. Mind was very fast. So in the same way, it was very fast when it gets the realization. And so just you go on one step after another. They realize the remaining 3 parts in rapid succession. And so they became arahats at the end of that sermon. So this is the doctrine of Anatta. And this doctrine of Anatta is difficult to understand, and it can only be understood by the direct knowledge gained through vipassana meditation. By reading, you can have understanding of it, and by speculating on it, you can have deeper understanding of it. But the deepest understanding can be had only through vipassana meditation, by direct knowledge. So when you practice meditation, you come to see this, the impermanence of things, and undesirable or unsatisfactoriness of things, and also this insubstantiality of things, or soulless nature of things. We may call something as ourselves, or personality, or soul, but they are just the convenient names for the 5 aggregates. Apart from these 5 aggregates, there is no self, or no soul, or no personality. So what we call personality, the 5 aggregates, ourselves. So in conventional terms, we use I, you, or self, or these things. But in ultimate sense, there can be no I, or no person, or no man, or no woman. Just the 5 aggregates. Just mind and matter, or nama and rupa. And this we try to see clearly by practicing vipassana meditation.
Okay. Can I ask you something? Doing this meditation, when you concentrate on pain, and what you concentrate on is the whatever the feeling there, and that the more you do that, does that get you deeper into in vipassana and or enlightenment?
Yes. So when there is pain, it's so prominent that you cannot ignore it. So you keep, or you focus your mind on the pain, and just say pain, 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 and your mind gets still or concentrated on pain, and so it goes deeper in the pain, and it sees the momentariness of pain. Although you thought this pain to be one permanent or constant, it is not. And you will come to see that when you get real concentration on pain. And that is how the yogi get to know about pain. And so when there is gap in pain, and you can get something of relief during pain. And when your concentration is real strong, you can drive this pain away, or this pain will go away just by the power of concentration. And with regard to pain, we can say that there are two kinds of pain. One is just pain you feel, real pain, the ordinary pain. And there's another kind of pain that becomes apparent only